Hello and welcome to a special presentation from In the Money Media. Whether you are watching this as it's being live streamed or perhaps a recording of the same, one of the most exciting racing days of the year is here. Santa Anita opening day, not on its traditional Boxing Day spot in the calendar due to some inclement weather. I thought it never rained in Southern California, not these last few years, but we will be kicking off on Sunday. It's a great card. There are a bevy of stakes races. We're going to be talking about them all. But before I introduce our guests for today, I do want to let you know that a couple of our favorite wagers are back this meet, and we encourage you to take a look at them. Game selection as a horse player has never been more important than it is as we approach 2026. That's why I'm going to be looking every day that Gulfstream and Santa Anita are running at both the first Coast to Coast Pick 5, combining races from Gulfstream and Santa Anita, and also the Sunset 6, which is easier to describe because that one's going to always be the last three from Gulf, the last three from Santa Anita. These are player-friendly wagers, folks. Retail only, meaning the biggest computer players' access is going to be limited in these pools. 15% takeout, dollar minimum, and no consos. So that means carryovers if they are not hit. We're going to have pop-up shows and lots of coverage for you all meet long on the In the Money Media Network. We encourage you to check it out. And with that little bit of business out of the way, let's get to introducing our guest. First of all, you know her from the Owner's Box. You know her from the fabulous work she does in the various corners of the television world. Always a pleasure to have back with us, Michelle Yu. What's up, Michelle? How's Christmas treating you?
Christmas is good. I mean, kids are home. We're, getting ready to tear open some presents soon, and it's been great.
I like to hear that. And the man who has co-hosted these shows with me, I realized this was actually a note from a year ago that I should have dropped, JK, but I didn't remember until now to say it. I was a little distracted last year at this time, as you recall. But we have been doing this on our own longer than the first iteration of the show now by some way. And in fact, our first show on our own was it 7 years ago at this point, 6 or 7 years ago, for this very occasion, opening day of Santa Anita. Does that make you feel old?
No, I feel young, Pete, all the time. Yeah, no, it's been a wild ride. It is one of my favorite days in racing. It's also oddly outside of like the random Thursdays and Sundays that I went with my dad to Lone Star. It's also the race day in which I've spent the most time with my dad at coming
cool.
to Santa Anita. And so it's always a special one for me. A little bit different schedule wise, but if you're bored on the 26th and you want something entertaining to do because everyone else is off, I have to host for 3 hours.
You host?
No. That's as a matter of fact, I don't.
I love it.
We're gonna Michelle and I are gonna watch it. We're gonna send you copious notes about what you should have done.
Let him practice right now. Hand him the mic.
Oh my God,
that would be truly evil, and I will not do that. I will not do that to a man. Well, I love that note about your dad. Let's see if we can pick some winners in honor of Big Ralph on this Santa Anita opening day. We'll start off by going to race number 5. It is the Grade 2 Mathis Mile, going what else a mile for these 3-year-olds. Got a lot of really interesting races on this card. This one will kick things off by trying to come up with some ideas for this one. I was so uncreative that I'm hoping one of you can maybe come up with something more interesting than giving you the favorite, which is my inclination in this 7-runner field. Michelle, we'll start with you.
I like Tempest Velat in here for Leo Powell. This is a horse that they bought out of the digital sale, and he's just run really good races after really good races. I think the keys for him have been firm turf, and I think he prefers a mile. We saw last time he looked like he was maybe going to win and then just couldn't sustain. I love a horse on a turn back in distance. Yep. He's tangled with a couple Ds before. I think he's super intriguing in here, so that's where I'm going to look. 9-2. I mean, that's a little bit better than 3-2.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you want to hunt for something not at the top of the market, a very understandable place to land. JK, how about you? What are your thoughts on this Mathis Mile?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 horses that that I want to have. It feels like the pace is going to be pretty quick in here. There's a couple of horses that want to be forward, but even the ones that don't have to make the lead, their time form US fractions are coded as red. So I think the pace is going to probably be pretty honest. I want to make sure I have the 3 Nameron, who I think is going to end up working out a great trip sitting right in behind the speed if it doesn't happen to materialize in the same way that I feel like it will. And then I'm going to pick the 7. That'll be kind of my top pick, but a horse I'll use as well towards the outside. Because there seems to be a lot of speed in here, give me the horse I think is going to be closing in the clear, won't lose, might lose a little ground, but not going to get stopped out there on the outside. And that race 2 back was the one that kind of made me fall in love, that Twilight Derby, where the pace wasn't all that quick, and this horse was trying to close into that pace.
Not to mention you're going to get Ortiz on. I mean,
not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Do we say Maz or Maze for the name of that horse? I want to say Maz.
Maz.
We're happy with Maz. Good. Michael McCarthy certainly needs no introduction. One of our favorite trainers around here at In the Money Media. And yeah, I get Maz, I get Tempest Velat, and the case for Nameron. I just think the trip's going to work out beautifully, like JK said. So I'm uncreative, but maybe a couple things to juice things up. Obviously, this race is not part of the pick 6, and isn't part of either the Coast to Coast or the Sunset 6, but a race I plan. Although I lied to you. This is in that Coast to Coast, so definitely a few ideas to get started. The Coast to Coast, by the way, on Sunday starts at 3:18 Eastern with Gulfstream 7. Then it's Santa Anita 4. Gulfstream 8, Santa Anita 5, and then it closes with Santa Anita 7, which we'll get to in a moment. But first, let's talk about race number 6, where we have the Grade 2 Lafitt Pincay going 1 mile and a 16th on the dirt. This is the return to the races of Nysos, your Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner. Jonathan, before I ask you about your opinion of Nysos and if you want to be with or against him in this spot, what is your general inclination when it comes to Breeders' Cup winners, specifically coming back in the same calendar year? Is it positive? Is it a negative? Or are they all just horses and you got to handicap them individually?
Well, I mean, I think you got to treat them like individuals. With Nysos, obviously he's had an interrupted career, right? So it's not like he ran all last year pointing to the Breeders' Cup, and then this is kind of like some weird afterthought. Clearly, he's kind of working on a different schedule than the rest of the horses because, he ran in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile and ran extremely well. This feels like a bridge to get to a race like the Pegasus or a race to those races in the spring in the Middle East. So no, it doesn't bother me at all. And honestly, if he wins this race, to me, he's, until we get the official announcement from Sovereignty, he probably thrusts himself into like the best horse in the country if he can, if he can do his thing and do what I think he'll do in here. And then obviously, if we're going to talk about this race, we got to shout out Junior and the third. I'm a big fan of all Laffit Pinkays.
It's a nice group of humans there. Were you indicating that you think Sovereignty is not going to run again?
No, but just like there hasn't been they just keep saying like, well, that whole the plan is
right.
The plan is
right. It makes it kind of. You'd think you might hear a little more enthusiasm if there wasn't.
Just say yes, he's running, and we're going to point him to the Dubai World Cup.
Right. No, that's fair. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. I just was curious if you had heard something that with all the trainers and horsemen you harassed for tips, I thought you might have gleaned some inside information that was not yet public.
Of all the trainers that I harassed for tips, while I have a good relationship with Bill Mott, he is not one in which I harass for tips.
You're not like texting Bill Mott constantly, like, "Hey, tell me about this first."
No, honestly, fun exercise. Let's see the last thing I texted Bill Mott. This will be fun.
Hold on, I want to see the last thing I texted Bill Mott was.
Well, here's the best part about it. Do I even have his number saved? No. Yes, I didn't even save it because I was like, "There's no way that this is going to be a relationship that's going to be able to go anywhere." Let's see. Hold on. I still might have. Yeah,
I haven't texted him since May.
Yeah. It was probably, honestly, I think it was about cart talk, to be fair.
And to clarify, are you stone cold here, or are you going to bring in any of the? Okay.
Yeah.
Michelle, how about you? Do you share JK's enthusiasm for Nysos in this?
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, he's always been a very, very special horse. We've got to see him in Southern California for a long time. He really gives off American Pharoah vibes from being around him and the ease of which we've seen him be victorious. I think he had to work a little bit harder in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. The fact that he's running back, you ask about Breeders' Cup horses in their next starts in the calendar year. I don't think that we see a lot of them because generally once you win a Breeders' Cup, you've wrapped up a divisional title of some sort. And so you're not going to come back and risk that or whatnot. Nysos doesn't have any divisional titles that I can think of wrapped up. So for him to run him here in a grade 2, it, like JK said, bigger and better things on way. But to me, it means he must be doing super good. I mean, I guess Nevada Beach could give him a run for his money. I just don't think any of these horses are in the same stratosphere as Nisos.
I tend to agree. I'll make it a chorus. Let's hope Nisos does the business in this one to start off the traditional pick six. Another good betting option for you at Santa Anita out on opening day. Let's pivot to race number 7. We mentioned before this will close out your coast to coast bets. Got a big full field going down the hill, and this was a race where I just kept going back and forth. I really want to beat Anmer Hall from the inside in a big full field, but as I go through this race over and over again, I think the horse is going to be able to pull a trip, even though that can be disadvantageous. Certainly not one where I'm going to stand alone. Really curious to see what everybody else thinks. Michelle, we'll start with you.
I mean, you have to like him because he has all that hill experience, right? I think we've seen time and time again that a horse that loves the hill loves the hill. I wouldn't count out Mucho del Oro for George Papapadromo. He has run super well, going 6.5 before. In fact, he's a graded stakes winner down the hill, so he's got back class to lean on. His last couple of races might not have been spectacular, but I think when you look at the fields he was facing, they were super tough. He's in here for the 50, which I think is really interesting. So I would certainly be utilizing him alongside of Anmer Hall. And this will be crazy a little bit, but I actually don't mind Hot Rocket for Michael McCarthy. Needs pace because he has no pace even going a mile. So I think Trip is going to be curious, but I feel like this is a horse that could step up and run like a really good race.
All right, so the 1 and the 8 are the primary ideas, but
no 1 and 10.
The 1 and 10.
Sorry. 1 and 8. Yes, 1 and 8.
You're leaving the 10 in the mix.
I can't count. All right.
It's hard when you don't have you do this early and you don't have the PPs that have the numbers in them. Actually, they did just pop up in my PP, so that'll make it easier to keep track for the rest of this show. JK, how about you? Where are you? Let's start with the favorite and your thoughts on Anmer Hall, and then get your idea of the winner here.
Yeah, I mean, this is unintentional, but it works out that my dad, our address was 318, and my dad was a horrible horse player. It's how I became a horse player, trying to prove to him that he was horrible. I fell in love with the puzzle, trying to prove to him that he was an idiot as it pertains to betting horses. So he literally would just always play our address, but he would say it as if he's discovered something. Oh yeah, bro, I'm gonna play the 318 here. Okay, Dad, well, you always play the 318, so why? That's not really relevant. Anyway. I actually like the 318, and so on this day it works out. Yeah, right. I mean, forever we've always heard that being on the inside, because of the way the configuration of the downhill turf course, it's not a great place to be. But I think this horse is tactical enough, and is probably going to let them go, and then end up working out a good trip from the inside. So I want to definitely have the 1. I'm not against that one at all. The 8, like Michelle mentioned, I won't repeat all those things. But the 3 for me, Pete, and you know this more than anyone, I am a sucker for red-coated mile horses and Time Form US cutting back down the hill.
Yep.
I feel like those horses do so well because you know that they have at least a little bit of stamina to be able to handle a mile. The 3 actually won last time. The fractions are coated red. They have enough speed to stay forward. And then when everyone gets a little bit tired turning for home, they're going to have that stamina. I love horses like this. I'll pick the 3 on top, but I'll use the 138.
318 for JK. I've learned a lot over the years talking to you specifically about turf sprints, and I had clocked that angle on the 3 runner as well. I was going to leave Anmer Hall in the mix, and I just kept wanting to throw in somebody else. I know the horse is too slow in theory, but I did think Mescalero was a little bit interesting getting back to sprinting on the turf. That's another number I'm going to keep on side for sure, hoping that morning line educated guess is correct there. Let's go to race number 8, grade 1 action, 1 of 3 grade 1s that we have on the card. This is Little Brea going 7 furlongs. Michelle, I'm going to throw the ball back in your court.
I have no idea. Is that super helpful?
It's kind of how I feel too. We're going to have to crack some nuts and get some answers here, though.
I mean, this race is super tough. You have a massive field in here. You got a lot of shippers, and we got that challenging 7 furlong distance. So again, I always like horses on the turn back. I thought that George Weaver's horse was interesting, but coming off a really long layoff, and California horses are really fast. This horse is not going to be anything close to the lead, right? She's not going to be able to sniff the front. So maybe she's going to be a little over bet. And unless she can come from a little farther back, I don't know if she's going to be as effective. I don't know who I like in here. Seriously. I kind of like Artisma for Richie Baltas to hit the board. And I want to use her at a big price. So I feel like I want to play her along with someone. I just don't know who that someone is, Pete. Like, do I trust Magnificant? I don't know. Going a little bit further, like she's not one that's very step up impressive. I'm not a huge Silent Law fan. I don't think that she's got like a huge desire to win. She's another one that likes to pick up checks. So I'm so not in love with anybody here. I'm going to play this one. When I see them walk into the paddock, I'm going to say that one looks the best.
The only one I'm going to number check for you in the notes we send around to our In the Money Plus friends is the 4, with the idea that you think that's a price to hit the board. I mean, that's still valuable information, even if you don't quite have your final answer in this spot. How about you, JK? Any more clarity?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's a tough spot. I mean, so and a lot of times in situations are like this, when I don't have an idea, I try to identify like 3 or 4 different types of horses that they just check a box for who they are, and it makes me feel like I kind of got the situation figured out. So the 9 Formula Rosa, like the best speed drawn outside, probably one of the most talented in here, has some big races, so I'll use the 9, even though I think the pace is going to be quick. I want to use the 5 just because it's Baffert. You know that he'll never really take prisoners with his best speed horse, so that horse obviously has an opportunity to get loose if for whatever reason the 9 doesn't go to the front, or so on and so forth. And then 5G, like George Weaver is not a, hey, let's fly halfway across the country because like, let's just take a shot guy. Like, that's not how he operates. This horse obviously got a little bit behind the 8 ball. They've been training pretty consistently. I also like the fact that the last work was a half mile instead of 5 furlongs. When they go down in distance, coming off a layoff on their last work, it makes me feel like they're not cramming for the test. Like, they're not like, oh, I got to get one more stamina. I'm worried. Like, I feel like that means she's ready. So I'll use 5G. So 3, 5,
9.
1, 3, 1, 3, 8 for JK.
3, 5.
No, not in this one.
We're not going to keep the hunch play going. We're going to go 9, 5, 3.
Like my top choice in here is the 8. I think her last going to get the best.
That was my top pick, and I was thinking I was going to get to say something nobody else said. I'll let you make the case.
No, I mean, look, you love to see these horses that have this good 3-year-old form going a little bit longer than that whole accept the truth that this horse doesn't want to go that far performance. I thought last time in the allowance, and then for Riley to ship her out here second time in his care. I think she's going to end up getting the best trip because I feel like the pace has to be honest in here.
For all we talk about Bill Mott with a target, maybe in future we'll be talking about Riley Mott with a target. That's what this one looks like to me. That race, I think, was just better than it looked. She finished up okay. That was a big speed favoring track she was trying to close into at Churchill that day. I think she makes a lot of sense to move forward. I did ultimately land there, but I mean, it is open. And the other 2 numbers I wrote down, you guys have already made the cases. 5G. I mean, I agree with Michelle. I don't exactly know what kind of trip she's going to get, but she ran a 90 figure back in March, and it's December, and it's not a Weaver to take lightly thing to ship out there. Got to keep that one on side. And then Formula Rosa was just utterly logical as well. Has that huge fig 2 back at Del Mar. So 8, 3, 9 for me were the numbers I settled on, but I am open in my wagering to including more. Okay, let's get to the back half of the Sunset 6, the last 3 races, more graded stakes action. We'll go next to the San Gabriel, going 1 mile and 1/8. This was another one that had me head scratching a little bit. So JK, we're going to make you start off on this one. Who's your idea of the winner?
Yeah, I thought this was tough too. I went 2 speeds, 2 closers. Whatever the situation is, it should work itself out. The one I liked, where am I at here? The new time form is a little bit tricky.
It should have the number.
Yeah,
the number should be there on the left.
No. Just to get, like, if you click on the 8 astronomer, then it's like hard to get back to the pace projector. Never mind. That's just
gotcha.
me thing.
Yeah, you got to
the 8 astronomer who I thought last time was close enough.
He never wins.
Red-coded fractions.
He just never wins.
Yeah, but horses that never win sometimes win.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I'll also say this This is my new pet trick I like to do when people say they never win. 10-1, 6-1, 7-2, 11-1, 9-2, 17-1, 12-1, 24-1, 8-1. What race did the public think he was supposed to win?
I mean, 7-2 isn't bad odds.
Yeah, but I bet 7-2, and he ran second, beating in length. He did exactly what he was supposed to do.
That's fair. That's fair.
The problem I have is never wants to win is when they're 6-5 and they can keep getting beat. That's where I find more of a problem.
I could see this horse catching money here, though, based on the figures.
I agree. I mean, look, it's not a strong opinion. I'm spreading. I'm going to use the 8. I'm going to use the 9, Cabo Spirit. Another one who I think is forward. I think one of those two is like destined to hit the exacta based on the fact they're going to end up working out good trips. My top choice is a 7, though. I don't know how to say that, Michelle. You've probably seen the horse run.
Suchet.
Yeah. Closing in a slow fractions.
How would you pronounce that?
Do I?
We could go very, 90s WWE, DX style. We could call him Suck It.
That's what for sure I've heard people call him Suck It.
Well, there it is.
It's a French surname.
That's what it got to be. Well, hopefully Joel is doing the good version of Joel, where he did on Rattle and Roll, where he stays a little bit connected, even though there could be a paceless situation against the horse. And so 7 and the 11 I'll use too. So 8, 9, 7, 11, no particular order. I'm gonna just try to catch something with those 4.
I'll just quickly add that Suchet was where I landed in this spot after a lot of consideration. Just thinking the horse was in good form and would pull a good trip. Didn't have a whole lot more to add. Just looked ready for a test like this. Michelle, how about you? Who's going to win this one?
Well, I thought I was being smart liking Suchet, but apparently everyone else does. So my other horse was Stay Hot. He is just such a consistent performer. He's really tenacious. I think that he tries so hard. He hasn't always had the cleanest of trips, and he still shows up. I'd like to see him a little closer to the pace. He's got a race under his belt recently that I didn't love, but for the majority of his career, he has just been such a hard trier. I think his odds are fair. He's going to get a new rider here in IRAD, so not going to sniff at that at all. And I feel like, with a horse like that who tries really hard, you get a fresh face on there that's a really strong finisher. That could make a huge difference for him. He's classy. Pete does a great job. So for me, I like Stay Hot on top.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Stay Hot, definitely one that I want to have in the mix as well. Let's hope as far as Suchet goes, this is a case of great minds think alike and not it's a corollary. Fools seldom differ. We'll see what happens too with the price. Sometimes when you do a podcast and everybody likes the same horse, that price, everybody else sees it too and the price is less than it's supposed to be. But there's so many horses near that have to catch money. I think Suchet should be a decent price when it's all said and done. Next up, we got the grade 1 Malibu. I'll have a full horse-by-horse write-up of this one for our friends at theraces.com. We'll also link to that in our free In the Money newsletter, inthemoneypodcast.com/email, if you want to sign up for that and keep abreast of all the content we have coming on the video side, on the audio side. That's one-stop shopping, inthemoneypodcast.com/email. Let us send it to you, Michelle, for the.
No, let me go first.
Oh, you want to go? JK wants to go first. Let's hear it.
Yeah, because this is honestly, Pete, I do this sometimes where I say, I want to see the workout report, but I know Michelle likes to see a lot of these horses work. And I have a feeling that Michelle has a stronger opinion about one of them. I don't know who it is, but because for me, what's going to push me over the edge is someone saying goal-oriented worked like a freak last time, Barnes, Cornucopian, Midland Money, not as much Midland Money. I kind of know who he is. I don't think we fully know who Cornucopian, goal-oriented, Barnes we kind of know because goal oriented's hasn't got the sprint again, and then Cornucopian's been gone so long. So I'm picking in that arena, but I didn't want to follow Michelle and copy her without giving her credit that I'm going to copy her first.
What for the notes that I send around, JK? What numbers do you want me to write down as far as your short list goes?
Let's see what Michelle says first.
Okay, we're gonna wait. We'll come back to you for that. My opinion is fairly formed, but let's let Michelle go. Well, who do you like here?
Well, first of all, I think for opening day, XBTV, her first TV, has 78 workouts online. So workouts for 78 the horse is running. So there are plethora for opening weekend of work. So make sure you check those out if you want to watch them yourself. I'm not a huge goal-oriented fan. He works fine. I like Barnes.
Yeah. And
I
is
think
that based? And you
he's
did you
also
watch
the
that
captain.
bullet
He's
the other
also
day?
the Captain Obvious horse
Yeah.
in there to me.
But he
So
really
it's kind
he
of really
stands
cool.
out in a big way to me too. I mean, he's the class, he's the fastest, he's in form, he gets a great trip, and he appears just work tab. He appears to be working the best of the
He
best,
works
doesn't
good.
he?
I mean, but
Yeah.
he does work really good, and we've actually seen him work better. I feel like as he's I don't want to say got older because he's only 3, but I do feel like progressively we have seen him become a better workhorse than he previously was. I also like Modus Bestia a lot for Richie B. I mean, I don't think that he's loving drawing the rail because no one likes to draw the rail, but this horse has plenty of speed. I think that he's really stepped it up, and he looked fantastic on the Breeders' Cup weekend. You know, the 6.5, the 6 to the 7 is going to be a question mark, but he ran all right going 6.5 to think that this should be fine for him. He's a great price. I know that I feel like they loved him. And now that he's gotten himself kind of more towards the lead, I feel like it's been easier for him to kind of convert those into wins. So I like him for a price shot in here.
It would be a host fail of me if I didn't point out that we do have one trainer with 5 of the 10 in this race. So team tactics could be at play. That makes me scared of the chances of a runner like Modus Bestia because somebody's got to go up there and put pressure the whole way. But Sugar at the 15-1 price, I'm certainly not going to talk you or anybody else off. I thought it was fairly straightforward for Barnes, fully aware that team tactics could mean that this doesn't work out. I wanted to keep goal-oriented on side just because I do think, you know, it's very hard to make him a confident selection off whatever happened the last day. But on his best, I mean, he has some finish and should get a great trip as well. I think these outside draws are going to be very advantageous in this spot. All right.
Blinkers off for him. Blinkers off for...
Yeah. Which I like, which I think I like as it pertains to the team tactics potentially at play. Feels like if they do go too fast, he could be the one who's set up to do the best running late. Wouldn't make my
funny. They're not going to go too fast. Baffer horses don't go too fast because they're used to going fast.
Well, that's right, but they go too fast for everybody else, and then who of the home team is gonna get it done? Any clarity there for me to write down some numbers for you, JK?
Yeah. So I'm gonna pick Cornucopian. I'll use Barnes as an A as well. Cornucopian and Barnes. The reason being, I think, is that if you look at Cornucopian's past performances, I just didn't know what to expect from him. But if you look at his past performances, he ran a 121 first time out sprinting Time Form US. Barnes ran a 129 last time, a 124 prior to that. That was all the way back though in February that he ran that 121 or March or whenever the hell it was. I mean, he's got an opportunity, and then he has the best race he ever ran, in my opinion, was in the Arkansas Derby when he set those ridiculously fast fractions and got tired off of that first time going 2 turns. Obviously, something went wrong at Aqueduct when he didn't run back for 245 days. So I just think that he's sitting on a little bit of a sneaky performance, and I think he could be a little bit ignored as well. I think some of these other horses are going to take money. So 8-9 is A's. And then I'll use 5-10 as B's. Baffert's going to win this race.
Well,
I think we'd be amiss just to not mention Smooth Cruisin' because even though he hasn't been able to beat any of the Bafferts he's faced, he's just been a really cool contender for Karen Headley. I mean, you have to kind of root for these small barns.
For sure.
They've got this one good horse, and you know he does show up on these big days. He runs good races, so I think he's a cool little customer, even though I don't necessarily think he can win. I still like him.
Easy one to root for, could maybe sneak out a piece. And yes, as Frank Scatoni likes to say, when small barns win, we all win. So good story if we can get a nice effort out of Smooth Cruisin' there in the Malibu. We can run a minute longer than we said before because I do not want to give short shrift to the other grade 1 of the day. Big field here of 11 in the American Oaks. JK, when it comes to the Sunset 6, all these late picks at Santa Anita on opening day, I'll ask you the key question. How are we going to get paid?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get paid 2, 3, 10. The 3 Cliffs will be my top choice. Look, I just have a real trainer crush on Cherie. I think she does an outstanding job. I think her horses, they when they get good, they stay good, they improve. I think she's very thoughtful when you talk to her about her horses. Like it's usually not even trainer talk. It's like real, complete thoughts, thoughtful things. Like I just think she does a great job. And I think that sending Cliffs out here, I thought Cliffs ran some really good races at Saratoga this summer. And I just think it's sneaky. I think could work out a really nice trip from the inside too. I think that Cliffs is got just enough speed to hold that position. I wish a little bit more, but enough to hold that position. So, and then, Will then's going to clear out of there to make even more room for her. She's going to have someone to follow. I think she's going to save ground on both turns. I think she's going to be tough. So 2, 3, and 10. The 10's a little bit of an unknown, but
form horse by some way.
Yeah, but you know how I feel about East Coast horses coming west. Well, this is really east.
Yeah, I mean Leopardstown.
This is really east.
Yeah, it's very east. It's east of New York. Atzilla makes all the sense in the world to me. I have the same basically 3 numbers as you, JK. But I mean, for me, the Atzilla case is very straightforward. I mean, you just look at some of this European form. It's really been in the deep end of the pool. These Group 1s over there. I mean, that's as good as it gets. I love the fact that the best run comes around Leopardstown, and the mile there, I mean, clearly has if you can run the straight mile or even the galloping left-handed mile over there, you can run a mile and a quarter around 2 bends. So no issues at all there with stamina. Makes all the sense in the world. I loved your case on Cliffs, and I think Will then makes sense as well. What about you, Michelle? Who do you like? We're deferring away from a lot of the local horses here, looking to some of these horses coming in from the other side of the country or the world. Who do you like in the home team, and who do you think is going to win?
I actually am on the away team for this particular race. I thought Cliffs was intriguing for all the reasons JK said. Cherie doesn't ship horses out here just for funsies because she needs a vacation. She usually comes over with a legitimate chance. So I think that her sending a horse that's relatively unproven over for the last grade 1 of the year is very indicative of how she feels that this horse is going to run. If I was going to look at local horses, I thought maybe Mbaya for Jonathan Thomas, who's pretty much won every single turf stake we have out here. He's like the West Coast Chad Brown at this moment. And maybe Ribbons for a price, but I think Cliffs is going to win, and those horses are just going to be picking up pieces.
What do you think about the presumptive favorite Atzilla in here?
I mean, she has a lot of class, but also, okay, let me back that up, I guess. She has a lot of races that look classy on paper, but she's been well beaten in them. So we're really going to have to see how she is going to be able to handle coming to the West Coast. She is going to have to step up a little bit because she has some issues as far as running goes. She tends to not break very good. And even going the mile and a quarter, that's going to put her at a disadvantage, especially because where they break at, starting down the hill. I mean, if she stops or doesn't leave and they're all gone, I mean, it's not super easy to make up 40 lengths on the turf course, even if you're going a mile and a quarter, right? So I do think there's some things to take into consideration before you hammer her at a really low price. Even though it looks so fancy that she's, third in a grade 1, 2 back, and she's only been running in group 1s and all this, I think we just have to think about, the other, she's been beaten 5 for, 6 lengths by some of these. So keep that in mind and maybe take her with a grain of salt. Not to say she can't win, but she's not a walkover.
Maybe, no, definitely not a walkover, and definitely some reasons to question. Personally, I was hoping that there would be enough speed from runners drawn inside and outside specifically that it could bring her stamina into play. And I just wasn't worried about the 6-length defeats just based on who she was running against. I mean, those are fillies who are running, mid-90s buyer types on the equivalent. So I think
the 1,000 miles is going to be pretty pacey. Wilden went to the front last time, but going further. So I don't know, if she's going to be up there pressing the pace. I could see Totally Justified also maybe being up near the lead.
That's who I was thinking. 1:8:11. Is that probably what Time Form has? Because I looked at their stuff before, but I don't have it in front of me now. But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Last thing before we get out of here, and I didn't prep you for this, so I apologize. And I will go first to make it a little bit easier, give you time. I want a best bet of the races we've talked about. If you could only bet one horse, of the ones that we talked about on this show, who would it be? I'm going to be selfish and go in that 9th race where we all agree in the San Gabriel with the idea of Suchet, the 7 runner. That'll be my best bet here on the Santa Anita Open.
Best bet card. Most likely winner or best payoff?
It's the it can be either. What I'm asking is, who are you personally, Michelle? If I just told you personally with your risk tolerance, whatever, If you could only bet one, who would it be?
Well, Nysos, because to me he's a slam
Okay.
dunk.
Gotcha. Well, that's fair.
That's very, very boring. I mean, if I'm really looking and want to get a little bit of money back, probably Tempest Velat back to the Mathis Mile.
I like that. And I can get both. Why not? We make the rules. JK, how about you?
Yeah, I like her laugh quite a bit. I mean, I know it's a wide open race. I just think there's some value there. I don't think she's the most likely winner or anything like that. But I think she's interesting. I think she'll get ignored a little bit. And then honestly, this is like this is not like a slight. Michelle and I often, I don't think we have different basic ideas of how races are run, but we end up on different horses a lot. And I think that the fact that we both like a horse at 6-1 morning line in the last is more of an indication of like she probably likes the horse for various other reasons that I don't even like the horse for. So you take her 3 reasons, you take my 3 reasons, and now you got 6 reasons. It just feels like we're onto something a little bit.
I feel like that's a great name, JK. 6 reasons. I'm gonna write that down in my name list.
Have that one for free.
No, when I name a horse 6 reasons, it's for you.
Okay, that's good.
I do agree. I love it when we have somebody on who comes from, you and I are pretty just, traditional pen and paper form studier types. And then Michelle actually rides these beasts and gets to see them. And then also has the paper knowledge. You put it all together when we agree. I don't know, in the history of this show, for my joking around before, in the history of the show, agreement usually means good things. Sometimes a little bit short of a price than you would have thought on the morning line, but it usually means good things. Really enjoyed having you. Really enjoyed everybody getting a chance to tune in. I'm going to monitor this live stream. I'm going to say this out loud so then I have to do it. I'm going to monitor this live stream, which we're pre-recording, obviously, and I'll try to be answering questions in the comments. So thanks to everybody who's watching live. Thanks to everybody who's watching on the replay. Thanks to our friends at First for having us back to do coverage of this Santa Anita winter meet. We're going to be with you every weekend with various types of content. Sundays covering the Sunset 6 every week, and then lots of extra stuff on the biggest days. You'll be hearing plenty from Michelle here and on the Owner's Box, also from JK. That's it for this show. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatale. May you win all your photos.